Salutations, nerds. We're watching the MCU in all of its glory.
Welcome back, everyone, to the show we are calling Phased Out. It's designed to make Nick hate us, although if it hasn't happened yet, I don't think it's going to happen unless Jared just really loves Love and Thunder.
No, if anything, this podcast is making me hate my favorite film franchise.
It was good.
We
for the
did
first
it!
Few. Woo! Today, we are covering, I think, one of the ones that's really, really going to make us get phased out. I'm just so tired. We're talking about the Eternals. Both movies.
He's pausing for comedic effect. It's because he's going to explain right now what he thinks this movie should be.
I think it should be 2 movies. I think it firmly should be 2 movies. I think it would be pretty good if it was 2 movies. I also think that there's a lot of good in this movie, and I don't understand why it's so boring. There's some of the best cinematography that we've seen, I think, in the MCU. There are good actors in it for sure. A lot of the story is interesting. I don't understand, except for that it's 2 movies. So,
yeah, I don't know why it feels so slow and boring and terrible.
yeah.
But it does.
It's very bland.
Yeah, because I can't really point to any, like I said, any performance that I think is poor.
Mm-hmm. It's also one of the most inclusive MCU projects, which I appreciate having, part of my people group represented there. For those wondering, that being the disabled group.
And they put it in this movie.
And then did her dirty.
Multiple things just...
I'd stand by my Letterboxd review if I'd rather watch this than Coda, though.
Yeah, we've talked about. Just where to begin? Just
Does this have music of any sort?
Yeah, couldn't tell you what it sounds like.
Very stock Marvel movie music.
The yellow stuff the gold stuff that they use their powers with is pretty cool looking.
It is funny how checking Kingo doing the little pew pew. It's like, I guess it's cool if this was an animated thing. Like if it was like an animated show, that looks so much better.
Well, yeah, I mean I don't even remember. There's one scene I think on the ship where Icarus is revealing that he's known all along to all of them, and you just see Kingo's hands out like this, and it's like, what's happening? Because you don't really see how it works clearly before that, and you just all of a sudden see him like that. Oh, well, that's dumb.
It's one of those things where, in animation, because think of all the shows where people have balls of energy that they create with their hands, whether they're shooting it like this, like Iron Man style, or they're getting the energy or doing something. It looks so much better. And then in live action, it just looks goofy because it's just an actor standing there going, or like that, and just these little balls. It's like,
it should have been like Inspector Gadget, where the fingertips just flip down, that we see where the stuff's coming out of.
I mean, they are robots after all, kinda.
Yeah.
Ish.
whatever they are.
They're eternal.
Yes.
I get it. Also, how'd they fix their spaceship so fast after Icarus flew through it? Pulled a Captain Marvel.
Good question. What's his name? Gilgamesh was the
punchy guy.
Who's the builder? There's so many main characters in this movie. It's hard to remember.
Is it Phastos?
Yeah, Phastos.
Yeah,
Phastos.
Yeah, he probably just constructed the things they needed and threw them on.
I mean, that makes sense. So, yeah, why not? I think his power was the most interesting to me because I like the gears and how they can transform. But other than that, I like
Thena a lot. Their little spear and shield.
And that's another thing. They have an interesting thing with her there, and like, why don't we develop that more? And why didn't we develop the interesting deviant villain more? And
this is like from a director who had just won Best Director and Best Picture.
Yep, for Nomadland,
Yep.
Chloe Zhao, which I believe she had been working on this.
I was going to say, do you think that's really her fault, or do you think that's the studio's fault?
This feels like there should be a vision, but then Marvel does its Marvel thing, injects the giant syringe of MCU, and and it bloats it. It makes it do a million things, and then it just makes it personalityless. It's a shame because I like Chloe Zhao. I wanted this to be good because
I can honestly say that I like each of the individual characters in this, and it's not like they don't like
all 10 Eternals.
They're all like individually, they're very interesting.
Mm-hmm. There's just not enough time to make them have interesting stories or plot lines because you get the rush to the end, even though it's 3 hours long.
Again, I say this movie would have been a lot better served. To obviously, be 2 movies, but the first movie is just like them splintering apart across the 7,000 years, 6,000, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think that would have been, and then at the very end, you reveal that Icarus is the bad guy, and then he goes away, and then we're set up for part 2.
I agree. It could even be more fun as a show, where you're slowly finding out that Icarus is known all along and is planning on still letting the emergence happen and everything.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many better ways to do this story.
Or if the Deviant was the main villain for the first movie. Something like that. Like, that's a really interesting thing where the Deviant evolves and says, you are just killing my people just to kill my people. All we want is to survive. But that gets like 5 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, it's such a background thing that's going on, which is crazy because the start of the movie is all about the Deviants. And then it immediately becomes not about that.
What doesn't make sense to me, do you have any comic background in this at all?
Very little. I know that this was like Jack Kirby's, like...
that makes sense.
It was like his love. He loved making these books. It was super galactic and out there and just weird and zany, and that was the stuff he was into. Also let him kind of go crazy with his art. But outside of that, I don't really have a ton of background on Eternals. I know Thanos is kind of a deviant or something like that. There's a connection to Thanos and deviants, but that's about it.
Yeah, the thing that confused me was how, because the whole thing is we can't interfere with humanity, and that's their cover for why did they not ever help for any of the big bad things, especially in the last like 10, 20 years of their timeline with all the Avengers stuff. And I think, okay, they can't interfere, sure, but then it's like the whole point is the humans are like the batteries for this thing. But then there are all these big bad things, and the Thanos thing where you take out a huge chunk. Why did they not interfere then?
Well, and then they even talk. What's his face? Icarus is even talking about. Well, I could be the next Iron Man, and they do nothing with it. Like, I think part of this post Endgame MCU that we're going through is just the kind of deflating nature of they reference Endgame, but they don't deal with the consequences of it. Yeah. Or like
very few do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I just remember thinking it's like, wait, so you need them for the power, but whenever there are big wars where they are humans are killing humans or half of them disappearing, why is that okay? Cuz I like the whole thought of we have to wait here for this long and we can't interfere. And the whole thing of like, yeah, you have to move every 5 years because when people notice you don't age, they get freaked out.
Which begs the question, why would the one start a relationship with anybody?
I think they bring that up and they don't really do anything with that either.
Yeah, I think Sprite mentions it for 2 seconds and then it's forgotten.
The beginning, yeah. With Jon Snow.
Which I do not like Kit Harington very much in almost anything I've seen him in. I don't think he's a very good actor. He's kind of fun in the little bit he's in this movie.
Yeah. So who is Dane Whitman?
Dane Whitman, I believe, is the Black Knight.
Okay. So that's the sword in the after credits scene, and that's the voice of Mahershala Ali as Blade.
Yes.
And so what's the connection? Because I don't know anything about Blade.
Carry swords.
That's it.
I know there probably is more of a connection. I was never a Blade kid. I didn't even start liking Blade till the Wesley Snipes movies.
It's not even like that's Blade's sword.
It might be, but I don't think so. I think that is the Necro sword.
That would make sense.
Yeah, it's similar to what Gore uses.
Is it what Gore uses?
It might be. No, it's not. But it's very similar. I think it has similar properties. I could be wrong about this. Black Knight was never a big character.
Also, we'll get to how we feel about Gore's weapon in a couple episodes.
We sure will. And about that whole movie and...
about everything that surrounds that movie. Yeah. That'll be a fun episode.
The Thor franchise is so wildly bad.
Okay, so that's who Dane Whitman is.
Yeah, Black Knight.
Yeah, and he's kind of just out of the movie pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
and then in the movie, and then his girlfriend is out of the movie really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I just...
That's one of the more interesting parts, too, is the end.
Yeah. I was telling him what frustrated me more than anything, I think, was the last scene is actually genuinely terrifying with the scale of which the big Bionicle guy is and how he just rips, like he just shows up and rips them away and is mad and disappears. It's like, that's actually scary. And all those poor people who just got over the whole
alien
the blip and the aliens, it's like that can't feel good. And then, but
do we know how long after the blip this is supposed to have happened? Did they say it in the movie and I just missed it? They said a lot of stuff in this
I would
movie.
say there was a lot of dates and time jumping. I don't remember if they said how long since Endgame. If they did, I would assume it was when Arishem was giving Cersei the rundown of like what's going on and why she's got the power and all that. But there was such an info dump right there. I probably just missed it.
That was a very long info dump.
Mm-hmm. I feel like they could have shortened that up a little bit, and it would have made this movie feel a lot better.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like, watching that, like, this is like the architect scene in Matrix Reloaded. It's not that it's inherently bad, but instead of spreading out exposition, it's just dumped on you. And you're just sitting, like, for that one especially, it's literally the reverse shot of him sitting in the chair talking to Neo, right?
Yep.
And it's like, I get what you're doing. I understand, like, what this is supposed to be, but now you're explaining everything, I can't keep up.
Yep. To that scene, too, I think it's also kind of distracting to see him reacting every other time that he's discovered the architect's room on the screens. It's a cool idea. I think in practice it distracts from what he's trying to explain.
Yeah, and then here, it's not that it's hard to follow, but it's just, it keeps going and going. It's like
this is not as complex as what you're making it out to be. They're robots.
Mm-hmm.
Done.
I agree. They could have stretched it out. Maybe like Arishem kept pulling her back throughout the movie multiple times.
It was
and
only the
more
2
and more.
times.
Yeah.
With how long the runtime is, I feel like you could have gotten that 4 times maybe, and the final one be a little bit longer, give us the full explanation.
But at the same time, like, if you already have a movie that's doing a bunch of time jumping, I don't know if you want to cut back and forth. Now, you could make an argument that one of those timelines doesn't need to exist, but I don't know. It doesn't feel poor. I don't even want to say poorly edited.
I don't know if it's an editing
executed?
thing. I think it's a structure thing. I think
it
starts with the writing.
So I was going to liken it to the Marvels, where it's like it's just not structured in the most effective manner.
And that one, too, has editing things that further hurt it. Whereas this one, I don't think it's editing thing because they left, it's almost 3 hours long. They left it in there. It's just from page 1, it's of that screenplay. It's not well set up. It's a mess. It's like in the lunchroom when you're adding all the stuff in, and it just turns into gray goop. It should be more interesting, but it's not. That's what I think
goop. That is a very accurate description of this movie.
There's a lot of gray,
especially a lot of gold,
especially
too.
Most of the effects would look fine until you get to the beach. That does not look good.
Dude, I do remember thinking, like, the bits with Arishem look really good. Like it looks not real, but intimidating at least.
Yeah.
And then that black hole that he disappears into, and like that looks cool.
And I like the designs of like their suits and their powers we talked about. Like it's making it feel like a tangible thing too.
I will say that watching the gold draw on their suits takes quite some time.
Yes, it does. I remember thinking also when she turns, baby Bionicle guy into stone.
Damn it.
I'm just gonna call him Baby Bionicle. Okay. When she's turning him into stone,
she also freezes him. It's not stone.
Oh, I thought it was stone.
It's ice.
It's ice. Oh, I thought it looked like stone again. I couldn't tell. But when she's doing that, and you know how like all of them get like connected to it like that, like the battery.
Yeah.
And I go, wait a minute. Does that mean Kingo in some random spot all of a sudden starts?
I would believe that.
That should have been the end credit scene. It's just Kingo out doing his thing.
Are you kidding me? That's what he would yell.
What I'm confused about is, again, I have a funny habit of not listening to movies at key points. The plan, as far as I was aware, was to put Tiamat to sleep, and then they talk about killing him about how she killed him, her thing, whatever it is. When did the plan switch to killing it? Did I miss something?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember them ever like mentioning it or talking about it. It was just like, all right, we're killing them now.
It's like this throwaway line. It's just like, I just killed Tiamat. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I never really thought about that. I think it's because it just goes at such a fast pace when you get to the beach. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, all right, this is the plan now, I guess.
I do like the way ever since Man of Steel, the way they have captured heroes that can zip around like the speedsters do. Like, I do like that effect.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of good things.
There's in one of the flashback scenes where they're fighting the Deviants. There's this sick gold and blue castle. I like that.
The Babylon thing?
Yeah, the city of Babylon. Yeah, the blue gates with the gold trim. I was like, I could paint my house looking like that.
See, if they were really clever, they would have made it like Atlantis or something like that. That would have tied forward to
Namor.
Yeah.
Fish Boy.
Fish Boy.
That's
Flying
how
Fish
the
Boy.
MCU used to be connected.
Yeah. We have that movie coming up soon, too.
We do. Yeah. I like...
to be honest, I think that movie's more egregious on the boring front.
We'll see.
I only watched it the once. So
Same.
Yeah.
A lot of these tail-end MCU movies I haven't gone back for a rewatch yet.
Yeah. I like Druig's power a lot. I've always liked those characters that just have that control.
Yeah.
And again, they don't... They that's the most interesting part of the flashback scenes is when he just decides to break the rules. And he just does it, and they're like, okay, I guess we're breaking up the band. It's kind of everyone just kind of goes, okay.
Yep, sounds good.
Because it is, the whole movie is we're getting the band back together. But it's, again, cut with them splitting and waiting, and it's like, yeah, this is just distracting. This needs to be two movies. Again, the waiting would be the first movie, and I think that's really interesting. That's the most interesting part, and then the second movie is them coming back together, as he said.
And I would like to spend more time with Thena and her Mad Weary. And that was such an interesting little plot line, what she was going through and stuff.
Well, I think you could do that a lot more if the first movie is the waiting, because
Exactly.
that's how you see it start to fracture her.
Mm-hmm.
And her and Gilgamesh have an interesting relationship, and I really like Gilgamesh.
Why do you have to die?
What?
Why do you have to die?
So then the deviant could talk. Literally.
Yeah, that's all it was.
Okay.
Because I remember thinking something like, I'm not really liking this, but out of all the powers, I like the guy who's just punching things. He gets these little gold things, and he just punches stuff. Then they murk him. I go, and they murk him before they even
Green Lantern, isn't it?
Very much so. It's like Green Lantern mixed with like Doctor Strange because it has like Very shapy and
They even murk him before we even get the whole band together because we still have like 2 more.
I remember
2 more.
I was watching it and I paused it at that part because I really had to go to the bathroom. I was like, oh, okay, this is a good spot. We're gearing up for the final battle. Pauses. There's an hour and a half left.
Welcome to Marvel, Jake.
I don't feel like the early ones were that long.
They weren't. They were like an hour 40.
I remember I've said in the past episodes, like, movies these days have really long third acts, specifically the climax. It's so stretched out, and I'm really noticing it in these movies. Like next week's movies does, but that one has purpose, whereas this one, that beach just keeps going and going and we go into the cave for a couple minutes, then we go back out, then we go back in the cave, then we go up the mountain.
Yeah, that deviant just got kind of offed with no real consequence to the fact that he evolved himself from the Eternals themselves.
Yeah, I think the writers just forgot
that he was there.
That he was there. Like, oh, we have to kill him off.
But you don't. You could have him show up in another movie. You don't have to.
Well, now he's in 4 pieces at Angelina Jolie's feet.
That's true.
Justice for Gilgamesh.
If we did want a good point, there was one line that got me really good this time because I remember being in the theater and laughing really hard, and it's when Gilgamesh, they put the baby suit over him. That didn't make me laugh. It's, oh, I get it. I'm a big baby. His deadpan delivery.
All I needed was baby Gilgamesh, and I was set.
Yep, I'm a big baby. I laughed so hard. It's such a straight, just deadpan delivery. It's funny every time.
I don't even think it's similar to Black Widow. I don't think it's even bad when they're all together. Like I think they have all pretty good chemistry. It's just kind of
a boring mess.
Yeah.
And 10 is too much because, like I said, it should be one dies and that's what's bringing them all together. But then we lose another one before we even get all back together, and then poor I just said Makari. She didn't get some grand introduction like that. She's the last one. She's just chilling on the ship.
For 7,000 years.
Yep, she's just chilling. They walk in. She just waves to him. I go, everyone else got this big reunion scene, and then her, it's just that. So, yeah, I do like Kumail. I keep saying Kumail instead of his actual name. Kingo's movie career thing. That's funny. It's like he's just that's my great grandfather, that's my grandfather, that's my dad, that's me, and it's just all him. It's like that's a really good way to keep a career. And
what's his name? I like his assistant as well.
Karun. I was sitting there thinking this is the best character in the movie. Yep. This is the only personality we have.
And why does Marvel do that sometimes? Where the little side characters this is what the movie should have been.
And he not only does he have some funny moments. The little goodbye he gives them and the part we doing the little prayer, it's that's effective.
Yep.
And it's in the performance, so I believe his name is Harish Patel. I'm terrible with pronunciations, but he makes the most of every second he's on screen, and I was like, because again, that's the Bollywood scene is a fun little scene, and them going along for the ride is kind of fun like that. It makes more sense for Karun to be with... Why do I keep forgetting his name? Kingo. I keep wanting to say Ringo. Kingo. It makes sense why he's with Kingo as just an ordinary dude. It makes way more sense than Awkwafina going with Sean. That one makes no sense.
Never going to let that drop.
Any good friend on the face of the earth would say, no, you are not coming with me. I know what's ahead. I know you could get hurt and die. He should
Maybe Sean not have wanted her to die.
Maybe.
Hey,
that's why. Not to talk
you
about
are annoying. How would you come with me?
Not to talk about last weekend, but that's more of a you got to make it a situation where she is kind of forced to be there because no one's gonna let her come.
Yeah, no.
As just an ordinary person. Whereas this, it's his assistant. He's documenting it. That was fun. There was one moment during the fight where he's recording where it's not. The joke of him still recording is funny, but the way they do it, I was like, that's not funny.
I feel like that with a lot of the lines in this movie that were supposed to land as funny. They just didn't hit with me.
It feels like they wrote it and then in one of the last rewrites had to shove in the humor because it's we have to have humor in here.
It's a Marvel movie. It's got to be funny.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like the opposite of what happened with Love and Thunder. Oh, wait, we have to have a story in here?
How about we take one of Thor's best stories and butcher it?
God, Butcher.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you.
Cersei. Cersei is the main character. I forgot because
How do
she's
you
not
spell
really.
that again? Is it C-R?
Nope. Sersi.
Okay, that is not how I would
Because
guess.
again, and we said Gemma Chan was already in the MCU, so she was surprised they asked her. But again, not that the character is
Where was
bad.
she?
It's just
Where was she in the MCU?
trying to remember.
She was in Captain Marvel as one of...
Minerva.
Yeah, Minerva. One of the soldiers that fights alongside...
Jude Law. Yep. So like,
She's
Sniper
the sniper.
one?
Yeah.
so that's an interesting choice.
I mean, you couldn't really tell who
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, she was covered in makeup, and she was only in there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but Richard Madden is Richard Madden.
He always reminds me of Colin Farrell. Every time he walks out of that door, that's Icarus, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I know somebody who went to school with him.
Yeah.
And
And
now
then-
jealous because he's not the actor that Richard Madden is.
Anyway, every time he walks out of that door the first time and like looks to the side, I'm like, is that Colin Farrell? And then I have to remind myself.
Would have
Nope.
been better if it was Colin Farrell.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, Colin Farrell did make the first.
Daredevil?
No.
Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah. He made that movie better. How
And
did you know
then-
that was where I was going?
Because that's all you ever talk about with Colin Farrell, other than Banshees.
That's true. Or Fright Night.
That's
I
true.
love that movie.
What about the Batman?
What's that?
What about the Batman? He's
Is he
great as
Penguin in
Penguin.
that?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Penguin.
Is he going to be Penguin in the new Penguin series?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep, he likes playing the character, and people loved him playing the character, so.
Well, there you go.
Oh, why is yours? Come on! That's the meme, right?
I love his performance in the Batman. It's so good.
You can't tell it's him.
No.
That makeup is great.
Looks like, was it Richard Kind a little bit?
That Richard Kind is the Penguin.
That'd be a good
Just
pick.
like,
It'd be a very gentle penguin.
my name is Oswald Cobblepot.
I want to see it now.
See? He's got such a great voice. Yeah, I'm just going down the list here. We haven't talked about Salma Hayek at all because
Why should we?
because she doesn't.
She has like 4 lines in the whole movie.
And I even forgot what her power was until Jake reminded me. Oh, she heals. I go,
That's a question I have.
Oh.
Okay. So they each have their own individual power.
Mm-hmm.
That would imply that they can't do the powers of the other one. Yet somehow, knockoff Superman over here can move at the speed that Merrick can't. Makari can. Merrick is the bad guy from Korra, isn't it?
bad
Varric?
guy. That's Varric. And he's not a
Varric.
bad guy.
No, he's the best character in any Avatar show ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Julie?
Do a thing. John Michael Higgins.
Ah, such a good character.
Anyway,
I want a live action Avatar with just Varric. I want his life story.
live action.
Yeah,
Why?
it'd be fun.
Anyway,
I'm thinking if we haven't talked about Sprite at all, and that's okay. That conversation be real short.
oof, dude. Oof.
Again, another thing of like that's really interesting. Of mentally, they're thousands, millions of years old, but they're in the body of a child.
12-year-old.
Well, and then immediately when she becomes a human, she gets immediately addicted to a phone. I'm like, okay.
And going to school, and it's like okay.
Because she doesn't have a mind that's been alive for however many
That's too
thousands
deep
of
to think about
years.
this movie, Jake.
Clearly.
At the point of like,
the-
why would she go with him? Because she loves him. I think I yelled, "Barf!" That whole scene between it's Kingo who recognizes it, right, and talks to her about it. It's like, there are too many things happening in this movie. Why are we adding this one now? Like, there's,
They have some kind of storyline for Sprite.
I guess, but that's a separate one.
know.
The
It's
illusion
part of
power
that,
is
but-
kind of cool,
but yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing where they're, deceiving where they are with
Yeah,
the
in the
deviant.
streets.
And then it's just, oh, he knows where we are. Boom. That first fight is kind of interesting, but I think it's because it's the first time you see their powers.
A lot of the action in this is really interesting until the last bit of action.
Yeah.
That's because it's not really action; it's just a video game.
Yeah.
That's not the first time you see we see their powers in the opening scene on
we
the
see
beach,
them,
way back.
When they first come
Mesopotamia, right?
I guess my brain
where they immediately
counts,
interfere and change that person's knife.
Yep.
I guess my brain thinks about seeing their contemporary powers as like a different movie. Oh wait,
Gotcha. And then of course Brian Tyree Henry is actually good in this.
He's good
like
in
he
everything.
like he always
I love
is.
Brian Tyree Henry. He's such a good actor and he's so fun to watch.
And the first, from what we know, openly gay main character.
Yeah, if we don't count the Russo.
Yeah, like, and straight he kisses his husband in the movie. He has a home and a kid, and it's like that's so interesting too. And we're here for one little scene,
one little joke. I bet you this is vibranium too. Autumn of collection, IKEA. I do chuckle at it.
I did. Again, the timing isn't there, but the joke of him slamming the table is pretty funny. I do like at the end when they're in the South Dakota house and Thena is showing the kid like, oh, what are you doing? And then he hears it. He's like, nope. And he's like, okay, you're babysitting. Was it privileges are revoked or whatever? And I go, okay, that's fun. That's a character moment. Another scene in South Dakota, the flashback where Ajax and Icarus are talking. Another long scene. It's like, yeah, if this is like the one flashback we have in what we call our first movie, where it's them waiting, and we flash back to that at the reveal in the climax, and it's not 5 minutes long. It's like a minute or two. Sure, but not in this giant movie where we flashed back like 7 or 8 times.
Yep.
But I think I was making sure we at least mentioned all of them once. Yeah, because and it's another thing when it's I'd never heard of the Eternals before this, so it's like a big chunk of people don't know who they are.
You've never heard of the Eternals?
Yeah. Had you heard of them before this movie?
If I had, it was only by mention in another comic book.
Yeah, so it's like it's not familiar. No one can remember any of their names. It's almost 3 hours long. It's boring. It's like,
what is
how did this get made, and how did was it they got
Kevin
to a certain
Feige.
point? Captain Feige.
I think he's on record as saying these are some of my favorite characters. I also just kind of, because I actually get interested at the end of the movie, look up and see if they're making an Eternals 2. They are not, because what's his name, Iger, said he knows it's probably going to flop. Which, to be fair, I think I looked at the budget and this did make back its budget, and it made like $100 million. But for Disney, that's a flop.
Yeah.
So.
I can't remember. Did this have day and date streaming release, or was it delayed?
I don't remember. That was a weird year. We're in 2021. It's a weird year for Marvel
Yeah,
movies.
some things were coming out on Disney Plus at the same time. Some wasn't.
Weren't we talking about there's like, is this the year where there was like 4 Disney Plus shows?
There were like 3 shows
movies?
before Black Widow.
Yeah,
and then there's like, I think there's 2 others before the end of the year. I think there's 5.
Wanda, Loki,
Captain Falcon. What If was in there.
Yep.
Hawkeye's at the end of the year. Yeah. I think it's 5 shows that year.
I really wanted to like Hawkeye better than I did.
Oh, I love Hawkeye. But again, My Life as a Weapon is one of my favorite comics, and it's mostly just stolen from that. So it was fun to watch.
Yeah, I guess last thought from me to you for this as a question is like, how do you think they incorporate the Eternals into the MCU further, if not in their own movie? Like, what's the next step?
I think that's a hard question to answer when what has happened with, what's his name, James Master, the guy that played Kang, who was going to play Kang.
Oh, Jonathan Majors.
James Marsters is from Smallville. Jonathan Majors. I think that's a hard thing to answer because I think they're kind of tied to each other somehow.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what you think they're going to do with the Eternals characters.
I honestly don't think they're going to do anything with them. We might see Cersei come back. But that's probably about it.
Well, other than if whatever happens with that Blade movie, if Kit Harington will be in that.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the mid-credit scene?
The mid-credit scene, I think, was...
Yep. Okay, never mind. Yep.
What was it?
It's Pip and Harry.
Oh, yeah. Thanos' brother? Yeah.
That, again, sitting in the theater, he shows up, everyone goes, whoa. And I was like, who's that? They're like, it's Harry Styles. They go, oh, that's what he looks like. I've never seen him before.
That's the one that I think has a connection to the Eternals of the Celestials. By the way he talked.
I just don't know what they're going to do, A, with him, or B, with the Eternals going forward. Like, the movie was bad, A, and B, like, none of the characters would really fit in with any of the other teams because they're thousands of years old.
And they have some similar powers.
I mean, they could fit in with Thor, I suppose.
Yeah, or
like the Guardians.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Guardians, maybe.
The whiplash from the quippy Guardians and the idiot Thor with the super serious bland. Oh, man.
Did you say Quiplash?
No.
Okay, I thought you said Quiplash. I'm sorry. I've been having a hard time listening today.
That's all I got. I kind of want to be rid of this movie for forever.
I'm gonna go home and watch it again tonight.
I was gonna say I personally don't think it was that, but like it's boring for sure. It's one of the worst ones, but like it's not. I'm not offended by it.
It hurt.
Yeah, no, it's just a movie for me.
Yeah,
just a not very good movie.
Oh, you know what segment we forgot coming back? Jared, have you watched Dutch? Why not? It's going to be about
because the only free time I had this week was watching this.
Ooh.
All right.
Yeah. Because like all of us, busy, and then when I carve out time for this, it's 3-hour movie of. That's why it hurt. It's like I waited all week for this. Actually, I started the week with
I was gonna say he watched it pretty early.
Yeah,
to get it out of the way.
I watched it at work, and usually when I watch these movies at work, it's a distraction for me. Not this one.
Like
I kept having to stop focusing on my work to watch parts of this movie because I was like, I cannot get interested in this movie at all.
I was like, can someone please have a problem so they can distract me from this?
Seriously, I would like go. I was doing paperwork that I hate doing to avoid watching this movie.
Well, any of us have any other thoughts?
No.
I think before we go into our social read, Nick.
Yes, Jake.
Did you happen to watch any Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No, I have not.
Okay. Maybe someday.
No Agent Carter or any of the new Disney.
Well, there we go. We'll start incorporating something else that no one has watched.
I hear Agent Carter is really good, actually.
Maybe.
From the 5 people who've seen it.
Jared, if they want to continue along on this wonderful journey, where can they find us?
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, the funny TikTok, and X.
Formerly known as Twitter.
And listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and hey, if it's YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, ring our bell, make sure you check us out and rate us on all those apps, and make sure you see our groovy website.
All right. Make sure you hit that notification bell, get notified every time we release new content, which includes the Tuesday upload, I think.
This is the Tuesday upload.
Oh, sorry, the Thursday upload. My brain just can't do it today. Oh, my gosh. The Thursday upload. Other than that, next week we are covering one of my personal favorite MCU movies. Probably everyone's one of their favorite.
It's up there.
No Way Home. The end of the Home trilogy.
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
that's when I actually like and have things to talk about, and it's a character I enjoy.
I'm really excited to talk.
He's perking up right now.
I like it a little bit.
Yeah.
I like it a little bit more every time. Every time I see it.
You've seen it like
a bunch. I've seen it this year 3 times naturally.
Oh man, but that's next week.
Until then, would you come along with us? Get a little bit more phased out. Everybody have a good day.
I should have took a nap during this episode.
Sex scene. What'd you say?
Irisham.
You okay, Nick?
Yeah, I'm just real tired. Even talking about it's more boring than watching it.
Quantumania.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about the sex scene real quick. Wow. Bye. That would be funny.